Hello, my friend. As you know, Tsai Ing-wen, the regional leader, Taiwan region leader is visiting, is paying a transit visit to the United States as of now. So I want to say a few words about the relationship between mainland China and Taiwan. There were only 13 countries recognize Taiwan as an independent country by its own. The rest of all the international, as a whole, majority of the international society recognize Taiwan as part of China. So this is very interesting. Now I want to further explain why I think the independence of Taiwan is all but a dream. You will be surprised that the number one, the first one who will jump out to stop Taiwan from declaring itself as an independent country will be the United States. Don't be surprised, my friend. My observation and my analysis lead me come to this conclusion. Why? I have been grown up I was born and brought up in mainland China. The education I received is mainstream education, is that Taiwan is always part of China. It is currently ruled by a government who lost war in China mainland and kind of expelled to this small island. If it is not for the Taiwan Strait, and the PLA does not have sufficient navy power at the time in 1949, Taiwan would be liberated as well. So it's only it is being ruled and protected. It is being ruled by a former Chinese government, Kuomintang, and also under the protection of the United States. All along, Taiwan is being used as a chess piece against mainland China. Why? It's at first, the leader of Taiwan, the first generation leader, Jiang Jieshi, he wanted to use Taiwan as a springboard to contest against mainland China, to launch kind of offensive against mainland, because he lost the war, but he wanted to have a second chance, especially in 1950s when China was fighting the Korean War with United States and its allies. However, it was stopped. US does not allow this move. Number one is they concluded rightfully that Kuomintang stand no chance militarily against PLA, the People's Liberation Army, the armed force of China mainland. So they disapproved the approach, the suggestion by Jiang Jieshi back in 1950s. Therefore, as you could rightfully speculate or conclude that Taiwan government is not able to exercise its own how shall I put it, materialize its own idea or own strategy. It have to get approval from the United States, its protector. So in effect, become kind of vassal of the United States. So therefore, the existence of Taiwan government, the current situation, is wholly managed by the United States, by the fellows in the Capitol Hills and in Oval Office, those who so effectively US President is the true leader of Taiwan. So why would he want Taiwan become independent? If Taiwan were to be independent, then they can't exercise such kind of direct control. Tsai Ing-wen and his previous predecessor is Ma Ying-jeou, and basically all the past and the current leaders of Taiwan region are just puppet under of the United States government. And Jiang Jingguo is of no exception. In fact, it is only the United States promote back in the 1960s and in 1970s, promote the semiconductor technology transfer to Taiwan, and therefore there's laid down the foundation of the Taiwan semiconductor industry. Is this CM and USM and all like I think 19% of the Taiwanese semiconductor companies are deeply connected with American technology, American capital. Therefore, it's very easy for the United States to initiate, interestingly, the transfer back of capital technology of the Taiwan semiconductor industry back to United States, because after all they are the same thing, tightly connected, and all along the United States, the semiconductor giants have the key control of those some bottleneck, I will call it bottleneck technology in those semiconductor companies. So even SSMC, they cannot live without US technology. Put this aside, what I want to say is economically, politically, and even militarily, Taiwan is kind of dominated by the US influence and is effectively controlled by the United States government. Therefore, the Ma Ying-jeou's visit to China and Tsai Ing-wen's visit to the United States are basically orchestrated. The Ma Ying-jeou's visit, I think, is because the fellows in Capitol Hill, they fear that the Tsai's visit to United States might infuriate China. So Ma Ying-jeou's visit to mainland China is kind of offering some, I would say, consolation, or try to soothe the relationship between mainland China and Taiwan. Having said all this, so as if you agree with me that Taiwan is being used as a chess piece against China, therefore Taiwan will never be allowed its own dependence and its own independent judgment, or will be allowed to make any independent decisions or make any actions on its own. So when will so the issues between the issue of the problem of Taiwan independence is so it becomes it's out of the question. So what will be the future of Taiwan and its relationship with mainland China? Or in other words, will there be a war against Taiwan if China want to make the reunion by force? What will be the consequence, or what will be the outcome of that? It's a very complicated issue, and I think only God knows what will happen exactly. But but for me, I want to make some prediction, or rather speculation about it based on my analysis. I think the chances of war against Taiwan is very high, because there's no way that Taiwanese government will surrender, or even they want to surrender their boss. The US government will not want so. So a peaceful union, basically the chances is very slim. But I don't think the war will become a bloody war. Nothing like Ukraine and the Russian war will happen in Taiwan. If you know about Taiwanese, if you know about their culture and Chinese culture, then you will realize Chinese people, yeah, Taiwanese are also Chinese. Our culture is very different from that of Russian and Ukraine. Not pro-violence, pragmatic, and very adaptive. I don't think anyone would anyone in, and maybe, yeah, I think majority of the Taiwan soldiers, they won't sacrifice their life for the independence. So there will be a kind of conflicts, armful conflicts, but mostly skirmish or war with. There will be a very swift and overwhelming war, overwhelming victory over Taiwan in a very short period of time, maybe 1 week or 2 weeks, doesn't matter. Eventually, Taiwan will become part of China, and then the real, the meat of the play starts. That is, what will happen? What will be the action from the United States? That's very interesting. Will there be a direct military conflict between the United States and China on a consequence of Taiwan's forceful reunification against with China? I don't think the United States will directly involved in the war between mainland China and Taiwan. Number one, because there's too short time for the US to prepare for its force to be directly involved. Number two is the risk of a full-fledged war between two superpowers on this planet is, if we're considering the consequence of this kind of conflict, then Taiwan is not worth it. However, after China fixed Taiwan problem, definitely there will be reaction and pushback from the United States. Sanctions, no doubt. But what about military means? Again, I think only God knows. But there won't be any. It will not be. I don't think it will be escalated to a full-fledged war. United States may choose to fight fight somewhere else, maybe South China Sea, or most likely South China Sea they will contest the capability of the defense capability of small islands that the China have set up over the years. Yeah, I think this is the most likely consequence of that. But after that, beyond that, I don't think they will risk anything beyond that. Because by then, most likely the reunification with Taiwan will happen maybe a couple of years, 5 years from now. But by then, the naval power Air Force, as well as the defense capability of Chinese Army, Naval Force, as well as its Air Force, will be, if my estimation is correct, will match like 80% of that its counterpart in the United States. So there's no chance that they can expect to overwhelm Chinese naval or army or air force easily. Yeah, that is. But the real consequence will be in the form of sanctions, and those maybe they will freeze the assets, China's assets in the Western country, like what happened to the Russian assets in the Western countries during this Ukraine and Russian war. However, that is marginal, and definitely sanction, the economic sanction, or this will make life difficult for Chinese people, but eventually we can overcome all this. So yeah, that's my prediction. Within 5 years' time, China will be able to claim back Taiwan, and Taiwan Strait problem will be part of history. So we will see. So no matter what happened, no matter what those puppies in Taiwan, I would say those politicians, Taiwanese politicians, no matter what they say or what they claim they can do, that's all just a show business. Because ultimately they report and be accountable to their bosses, the real boss, which is the United States government. So we shouldn't pay much attention to those political clowns in Taiwan. Rather, let's be patient and let's see if the history will develop in the way that I predicted. Thank you.